Hi everyone, this is Amber from Dolls of Amber, and today I'm back with a new doll video. Today I'm working on one of my other commissions. This is an OC of one of my clients. Her name is Meredith Rose, and I'm excited to show you guys the process of how I made her. Without further ado, let's get started. For my doll base, the client requested a G3 Draculaura, so that's what I'm using today. I'm using this Monster Ball Draculaura for the base, but I am switching the head for this one that I've already prepped. I've already removed her hair and the hair plugs from the inside, and I've also shaped down her ears to make it more rounded and human-like. Now I'm just gonna remove her factory paint with 100% pure acetone. I'm just using a cotton pad for this, making sure that everything is clean and ready for the custom. As you saw earlier, I heated up the head to make it easier to remove from the body. It's still a bit of a struggle, but after a few tugging and pulling, I was able to get it off. And now we're ready. I started off by sanding the body first. I just needed to slightly roughen the surface to make the paint adhere better later on. I've observed that with G3 bodies, it's really hard to get the paint to stick on the legs and the feet. So I suggest that you focus on these parts when you're sanding them down. Particularly with the knees, I always get a lot of paint chipping from that area. So what I like to do usually is use a more abrasive sandpaper. The lower the grit, the better, and just smooth it out later with a more higher grit. Do this for the feet as well, since I also get a lot of chipping there. After sanding it down, I did spray the whole body with Bosnia Flat Clear for the primer. That's what's available to me, but you can use any type of matte varnish on the body. But now it's time to paint it. I'm just using some watered down acrylic paint, and I'm just gonna paint this on the body in thin layers, making sure that it is completely dry in between layers. I think I did about 2 layers of this. Since Draculaura's skin tone is pretty light, I think you can get away with fewer layers. But if it's a character with a darker skin tones, it will take you a lot more layers. This is what it looks like after. The character has some gray gloves, so I added that in, and I also did some light body blushing on her off camera. But now to further protect her new skin color, I'm gonna use some Liquitex matte varnish on her. I'm gonna paint this all over her body. This doesn't dry completely matte for me, I don't know why. I do make sure to shake it before I use it, but it always dries into a satin finish after. So once this is all dried, I'm still gonna go for some Bosnia Flat Clear on top of it to mattify the body. Once that is all done, we can finally move on to the head. But first, I am gonna custom dye her hair. I'm just using some fabric dye. I'm mixing some red and some purple. And I'm gonna use some scrap hair that I have in my stock box. Since I was having trouble looking for the perfect hair color for her, I figured I'm just gonna dye it myself. I'm gonna completely submerge the hair into the dye and leave it in there for a couple of minutes. This is what the hair looks like after. And I am so happy with how it all turned out. It's perfect for the custom. My client agreed as well. I am left with different variations of the color that we needed, but that's okay. We can just blend it all in while I reroute, and it should give us a lot of highlights and lowlights, which I am really excited to show you guys. I've already painted Draculaura's scalp to match her new hair, and let's get on with the reroute. With all of my reroutes, I usually do the knot method. It's just been what I've been used to, since it is a secure way in getting the hair inside the head. But with doll customizing, there really isn't a right or wrong way in doing it. It kind of just depends on you and what you're comfortable in. And this is what I've been doing for like a really long time already. But just to recap, if you don't know how to do the knot method, you just need to grab some hair, loop it on your finger like this, like you're attempting to make a knot. And once it's secure on your finger, just grab it with your rerouting tool, pull it up, and this will give you a knot on your needle. Poke it into the head, and if you try to pull it, it's pretty secure in there. It's not gonna budge unless you pull it really hard. And sometimes this can be enough. You can completely skip the gluing part, since this is called the knot method. But for me personally, I still like to add some glue afterwards as like a layer of security. Just the teensiest amount of glue should be enough, compared to if you were going to do it normally, where you have to put in a lot of glue to make sure that the hair would not budge. This method has been working really well for me, so I suggest that you guys do try it out. we're done after 2 days of rerooting. I think the hair looks really good. I just love all the different variations and tones in her hair. I love the highlights and the depth. But now it's time to add some glue in her head. I'm just using some Uhu glue. This is really good for rerooting as well. It dries really hard. And this doesn't reactivate over time like the glue they use on G1 dolls. If you're looking for a good substitute for Fabri-Tac, I suggest that you try this out. And now it's time to do her face. Off camera, I covered her hair and I sprayed her face with 2 layers of MSC or Mr. Super Clear. And I'm just painting her face the same skin color as her body. I did about 2 layers of paint. And on top of that, I went over with some pan pastel and the color burnt sienna tint. Now I'm just sketching out her features with a mechanical pencil while I was referencing the art that the client sent me. I'm starting off with some highlighting on her face. I'm just using some white pan pastel for this, and I'm just painting the whites in her eyes. Now I want to talk about this character. Her name is Meredith Rose, and my client Millie created her over 5 years ago. She is the main character in the book that she's currently working on, and her lore isn't that complete just yet. The whole premise is that she's a student and she was chosen by 2 scientist brothers to help reshape the world. Given an ancient book, she sells her soul for ultimate power, enabling her to create and manipulate life itself. Though she uses her powers to fight crime, she's arrested and imprisoned. In there, she falls in love with a fellow inmate and secretly creates dragons using her blood. I did create a dragon for her as a pet, but I'll show you guys that later. She did eventually transform the inmates into dragon hybrids and escape with an army under her control. With her boyfriend and the 2 dragons she created, she sets out to overthrow the world government and build a new order. Basically, that's the whole story for now, and her lore. And you just saw me paint her whole face while talking through that. And now I'm just finishing up her lip color. And now I'm just cleaning up my lines using the same skin color paint. For the final touches, I'm just giving her catch lights and I'm adding more details in her iris. And after this, we should be all done. Off camera, I sprayed her face with the final layer of MSC and let that dry thoroughly. Now we're on to the accessories. I did lose a bunch of footage for this, unfortunately, so some parts might get skipped, but I'll just show you guys what I have here instead, even though it's gonna be incomplete. One of Meredith's accessories is a gas mask, and my client requested to have that included for the doll, so I'm making that in this part. I'm just using my spare Draculaura here as like a base, but with some air-dried clay, I'm gonna press this onto her face to get the shape of the mask and to have her features indented into the clay. I'm gonna let this dry overnight, and once it's dry, I'm gonna add in the features, like drilling the holes for her eyes, and adding the details like the cartridge, and all of the other smaller details that a gas mask would have. Like I said earlier, I wasn't able to film, or some footage was lost while I was doing all of those details, so I'm really sorry about that. But moving on to her pet, we are using Count Fabulous. This is from the core Draculaura doll. And we're gonna turn him into a little dragon. I need to remove the collar, his little bow, and with my Dremel, I'm cutting away his ears. This is what Count Fab looks like after. Now I just need to sand down his head. I'm a little out of frame here, but I am just doing that. But now I'm just adding some clay on all of the holes on his head to cover it up and make it seamless as possible. I'm giving him a little dragon snout, and I'm just blending that right into his face. I'm also giving him some little horns, and I wasn't able to film it, but I also gave him some arms. Going back to the mask, it's all done. I was doing the mask and the pet simultaneously, so the footages are mixed up. But in this part, I am just painting the mask black, and I also started painting the dragon. I painted his eyes white first, and I'm just painting his body black. This is what it looks like after. I did add some gradation with some gray paint for his horns, tummy, and his wings. I also thought it would be cute to keep Count Fabulous's eyebrows, since it is heart-shaped, and I painted it gray. And I'm just giving him some cheek blushing with some pink paint. Now for his eyes, I started with some pink. I added some red on the top, and I'm gonna blend that down into the pink. With the same pink paint, I also decided to give him some toe beans, and I'm just painting in his pupils. And I'm just adding more details till I'm happy with it. And with that, we're done with the pet. Off camera, I sprayed this with Bosnia Flat Clear, and then I glossed his eyes. This is what the mask looks like as well. I glossed this up with Liquitex Matte Varnish, and I also sewed in an elastic strap so the doll can easily wear it. Moving on to the boots, I'm gonna paint mine today. I'm just gonna use some black acrylic paint and this Focus Textile Medium. If you've watched my other videos before, you've already seen these boots. But these are actually leggings from Shadow High Glitch, and I just cut them into boots. I get these leggings from China. If you're from Asia, then you're probably familiar with Shopee. It's a shopping platform in Asia, kind of like Taobao or AliExpress. And there's a seller there from China that sells rainbow high shoes and other accessories. So that's where I get most of my rainbow high shoes and stuff, which I use a lot for customization. I think I did about 2 layers of the black paint. And once I'm happy with the coverage, I'm just gonna seal it with this outdoor sealer. I'm just gonna paint this all over the boots and let it dry thoroughly. Now for the outfit itself, we're starting off with a turtleneck top. This is the pattern piece I'm working with. Originally, this was gonna be a long sleeve shirt, but she's gonna wear a jacket later on, and I was thinking of her mobility. I figured it would be harder for her to move her arms if I kept the original design. But here I'm just hemming the sleeves by hand. Now I'm just closing the sides with my machine since this is a lot faster, and I'm just hand sewing the turtleneck collar. Lastly, I'm just attaching the Velcro closure at the back. I glued it in place first, and then I'll go over it with my machine. Now for her skirt. I don't really have a pattern for the skirt. Whenever I make a skirt, I usually just eyeball it. I just guess the length and cut as needed to fit the doll I'm working on. I'm just doing some pleats here. I'm hand sewing it down to secure it in place. I'm also using my mini hair straightener to help it keep that shape. Off camera, I finished it, and this is what it looks like. I had a Draculaura body on the side to measure with, so I know when to stop pleating. Now I'm just gonna sew on the waistband. I'm gonna use my machine for this, and I'm just gonna attach them good side to good side. This is what the skirt looks like after. All I have to do now is add a crotch catcher. I don't really know what to call this, but that's basically its purpose, so the skirt wouldn't ride up on the doll. I'm just using this frilly elastic, but you can use a ribbon or any scrap fabric. Now for her jacket. I bought this thin faux leather fabric material, and I'm gonna try to make a leather jacket for her. To be honest, I was dreading on making this. This jacket was just so intimidating to me, I don't know why, but I'm happy to report that I had no trouble making it. If you watch any of my other videos where I made a coat, like my Zombie Gaga video or my Tomie video, this is basically the same process. Only difference is I'm using pleather for my fabric. It does help that I'm using a thin pleather material for this. I'm just lining the front pieces of the jacket, and then afterwards I'm gonna turn that inside out, and then I'll sew on top of the edges to flatten it out. These are the front pieces after I lined them. Now I just need to connect them to the back piece. I just realized that I don't have footage of me making the whole thing, so I apologize. But basically, I just connected the front and back pieces together. Then I sewed on the sleeves, and then I closed down the sides and then sewed on the collar. I'm sorry I wasn't able to show that to you guys. But moving on, I am creating her belts. I use a thicker pleather material for this, and now I'm just sewing on some snaps for the closure. This is what they look like after. I added some buckles to give it some detail, and I'm doing a second belt. I'm just gonna sew on the snaps again for the closure, and we should be all done with the accessories and the whole outfit. So now I'm just doing her hair. I'm giving her some curls into her hair, and with that I'm just using my curling iron. I'm using my smallest barrel, and I'm just curling away from her face. I'm also using a clip to hold the hair in place while it cools down, and then I'm just gonna repeat the whole process until all of her hair is curled. And this is what her hair looks like after. I just love the loose curls that I gave her. To keep that in place, I am spraying some hairspray into her hair. Just a couple of light spritz and that should be enough. I'm also spraying her bangs down to tame it and keep it in place. And we're all done with her hair. We can finally take a closer look at her. This is what she looks like up close. I just think she looks so cool. I love her aesthetic. I wasn't able to show it to you guys, but I did make her some jewelry, some earrings, and a ruby necklace. And I'm just showing you guys the belts from the back. I also attached some chains on one of the belts, and I gave her a ring on her gloved hand. This is what the skirt looks like on her. I also gave her these stockings. These are meant for Barbie, but I altered it and gave it some rips. I also added some straps on her boots. It was in the concept art, so I had to add them in. This is what the boots look like from the back, and I think they look so good. Here is her mask. Let me put it on her, and it's pretty secure and it looks really good. And I think I did pretty well in sculpting this mask. I'm really proud of it. Here's me trying it on one of my other commissions, and it does fit other dolls. The eye holes do align, and you can still see their eyes from the inside. Here is her dragon pet. I think it turned out so adorable. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out as well. And so is my client, so that makes me really happy. But yeah, with that, the doll is done, and I think it's time for the glamour shots. If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. Making Meredith was really fun, and I'm really intrigued with her story. I can't wait for Millie to finish her story and her lore so she can share it with all of us. What do you guys think about her story and her design? Comment your thoughts below. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and follow me on my other social media platforms. I'll have them listed down below. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll try to make another video for next week, so look forward for that. Goodbye and take care.